All right, so welcome back. And today, like we said earlier on, today is World Engineering Day, and we are definitely looking at that as a very important part of Heritage Month, because everything that we have and we can ever have, everything that we are and can ever be, is revolves around engineering, you know. And of course, you were talking earlier about our food supply chain,
even when you look at
food processing.
The vision Nkrumah had for this country was that we do not operate, when it comes to the agric sector alone, let's just take that as a sector on its own. When it comes to agric, we don't operate like small farmers. I just need to feed my family and I'm okay. But we start to think of how to scale up our operations. So when you take a place like Akomadan, for instance, and you say that they are good at producing tomatoes. How do we scale tomato production to a point where we are not paying millions of dollars each year to import in tomatoes from Burkina Faso when we have what it takes to do it locally? And what that will mean is we need engineers studying the soil, providing solutions to ensuring that we're producing one of the best tomatoes in the country, if not the whole world. You need engineers to also come up with machines that will be able to scale up the process of even doing it. You know, so there's so many things that we should look at when it comes to health, agriculture, manufacturing, all sectors of our economy. At the core of it, we need engineers to scale it to where we need to be and tie it into our economic development.
Absolutely. Well, the executive director of the institute is speaking. Let's go, Barbara. All right, so there's a slight technical hitch there. We will definitely join them as he's addressing the entire public.
Yes, right. Again, when you look at what the Ghana Institute of Engineering is doing, they are trying to focus on how do we tie engineering to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. You know, because saying we need to end poverty is one thing. Saying that we need to ensure that food security on the continent is an issue that we've addressed. Talking about quality education, quality health, ensuring that people can achieve whatever goals and dreams they have within their country is one thing. Implementing it is a completely different thing. And we've seen nations who've been able to address this within a span of a decade or two because of the quality human capital they had and the resources that these technical people were equipped with. So today we're joining this Zoom because we're going to be celebrating independence in 2 days. Over 60 years ago, we had a plan for this country. We had a vision for this country. We wanted to industrialize. We wanted to be that industrialization hub of the entire continent. We've not gotten there yet. We still have the African Growth Opportunities Act to take advantage of. We have the African Continental Free Trade Area to take full advantage of, but it will take us being able to scale up all the things that we're doing locally to ensure that, one, we're achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Two, we are ensuring that we get enough revenue locally. We don't want to deal with people dying on our roads anymore. We don't want to deal with importing in things that we are capable of producing. If there's one thing that COVID period taught us, is that when things get hard, countries will look internally. They will think about their citizenry first. They will focus on taking care of themselves before they lend a hand to us. So we also need to prioritize. And the thing I love about Ghana last year was when the world turned its back, or the world decided that we're focusing internally, we rose to the occasion. Our health care workers worked double hours. Our agriculture people ensured that we are well fed. So now how do we take advantage of this and welcome our engineers into these sectors, create synergies to not only address the Sustainable Development Goals, but to build a Ghana that the future generation will be very proud of? Because like Nkrumah said, political freedom without economic freedom is meaningless.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. The thing is that, policy drivers are very important, you know. So we can have, I mean, I particularly remember when Professor Mac Bagonluri came up with this ventilator, a locally made ventilator, you know, and there was one that was mechanized, so you don't have to control it, and there's another one that you can actually control, where if you find yourself in a hospital or clinic where there's no electricity, it can actually be manually handled, you know. So I think that some of these things, we do have the expertise to create them. The issue is plugging those things in to the larger system so that the ecosystem starts to function, you know, productively as a single unit, right? So, of course, apart from the ventilators, there were other innovations that people came up with and so on. I think it's important for us to address these issues at a time like this, looking at what we're going through, the globe is going through. Like you said earlier, it's actually a warning to us in a way that we need to start looking internally. We need to start thinking about how can we be self-sustaining, self-productive, you know, and deal with all the things ourselves, you know, make sure that we are productive enough to supply everybody in Ghana with all the amenities, the goods, everything that we need in Ghana. We should produce it ourselves, you know, and have enough to also export to others who haven't gotten to where we are. I think it's critical.
Yeah, so we'll be joining them shortly. And throughout their conversation, we want to hear from you as well. So use the hashtag BreakfastDaily. And the WhatsApp line is 0550-585-832. Today is World Engineering Day. And of course, if you know any engineers in your life personally who has touched you, has contributed massively to our development, we want to celebrate them in a special way. So tell us about them, tell us what they did, and why we should all know about them. We need to amplify our engineers. We have thousands of them in this country. Every single day, they contribute their little to help the country get better. But like most engineers, they don't like to talk about their work. They just like to do the work and deliver. So if you're looking at education, there are people who are producing, you know, bringing solutions to make learning a bit easy for our young people, make it interactive. When you look at the health sector, people really coming up with invention and innovations every single day. When we talk about education, we've already mentioned that agriculture, people are doing things within these sectors, manufacturing. How do we get this nation to a point where we are not talking about just exporting raw materials, cocoa, gold, and others, but actually turning all these things into finished products? And it takes engineering. Even something as simple as turning shea butter into lotions, shampoos, all the products that we put on our skin. It makes no sense to me that in this day and age, as one of the top producers of shea butter in the world, we still import in lotions, we still import in shampoos, conditioners, but they are local engineers doing this. One of them is a young guy called Yao Jemfi. He said, I'm going to go and work on this sector so that Ghanaians will begin to benefit. And when we start creating these things, we add value at every stage of the supply chain. So we're not just taking the raw materials out, selling them for what, a few cents, and then importing it back in for top dollars. But we're saying we are developing all these things here. And Nkrumah dreamt about this. That's why he set up all these factories over 60 years ago. And he said, if we make tomatoes here, we're going to do this. If we make this thing here, how do we manufacture them here so that we create the jobs that we need, so that we are not dependent so much on foreign imports, so that we grow the economy to a point where we know that we are sustainable. And now more than ever, we have the African Continental Free Trade Area. That means that not only do we have the opportunity to feed ourselves, to take care of ourselves, we have the opportunity to scale this up to other countries on the continents. Nigeria is a massive market. And no matter what you build in Africa, there will always be that social angle to it. So by just creating these solutions, you're already addressing the Sustainable Development Goal issue, because poverty is still real. Lack of access to health is still real. People are still struggling. Women are struggling to scale their operations. So I really want to even know that the number of women engineers we have in this country, how we get more female engineers. For instance, Dr. Mavis is one scientist who is very passionate about Ghana's tomato industry. Why we keep importing in tomato paste in this country when we have the ability to actually use solar to preserve the tomatoes we have in Ghana. wouldn't it be amazing if the nation decided that we're going to fund your research, we're going to invest so much money in research and development that in the next 5 to 10 years, we won't import in tomato paste into the country. We won't import in tomato from Burkina Faso, but Ghana will be a tomato paste hub for the entire continent. And it's possible.
Yeah.
We have the people. If there's one thing we've learned from this vaccine period, is that globally, Ghanaians are leading the charge. We have top scientists outside this country doing great things. The only difference between those scientists and engineers and the ones here is sometimes the resource that we've equipped them with. So beyond celebrating engineers today, we also want to address the issue of equipping them with the resources they need so that we will be able to scale everything we do in this country. Everything that we're talking about, one district, one factory, from taxation to production, is not new. When you read the things Nkrumah did, he talked about it. It's left to us to actually implement all these things.
Yep. And we can go back and join the Zoom right now as the session is in progress.
Society. So on this note, I would like to invite Honorable Atachia, Member of Parliament for Buako South and outgoing Minister for Works and Housing, to do us the honors of launching the World Engineering Day today. Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Manjoy, the government representative or the president's representative. Mr. Chairman, President of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, past presidents of the institution, Registrar, Engineering Council, council members of the institution, executives and officials of other professional bodies, distinguished invited guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Mr. Chairman, I'm honored to be invited once again to give this short address at the launch of the 2021 World Engineering Day and to share my perspectives on the role of the engineer towards the achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. At the last time that we paid a courtesy call on the president said something which was very serious, that it has been found as a fact that China is one country which has so many engineers. About 40% of the Chinese people are engineers. An economy dominated by engineers, according to the president, has now created a situation in which China has become the factory of the world. And I was touched by that statement. I believe that we are playing down on a rather powerful profession that if we should put premium on, we'll be able to turn around the destiny of our people. So let's place enormous emphasis on engineers. From even the assembly level, let's see how we deploy the powers of engineers as we begin to roll out infrastructure and turn our economies around. One thing has happened, which I can never stop talking about, when I came into contact with the Ghana Institution of Engineering, their sense of professionalism and their powers of engagement. I was saying that these are the people in the background that should come to the forefront to drive the economy. I'm very, very grateful to the chairman and the rest of the leadership for bringing me into your world. The Ghana Institution of Engineering is a formidable setup, and we should commend them for the good work they are doing. I am pleasantly surprised that we have an engagement of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations. And guess what? The notes I have are clear that we have 30 million engineering professionals around the world that we are associated with. So we can never run out of ideas, Mr. Chairman. Let me address a point on this critical issue of the achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Engineering is a major driver for sustainable economic development of any nation. Very, very important. They never said even the legal profession, talking about economic development, and never divorce yourself from the powers of engineers. Engineers, therefore, play a vital role in addressing clean water and sanitation by developing, processing, and transporting natural resources to reduce waste and increase efficient use of resources, provide affordable and clean energy by harvesting renewable resources, minimizing our non-renewable resources such as fossil fuels, providing a functioning and resilient infrastructure with innovative, sustainable technologies, just to mention a few. As a result, the importance of the engineering profession and how engineers build a better world cannot and should not be taken for granted. Under any circumstance, if we want to achieve the SDGs by the year 2030. As we're talking now, we have the Engineering Council Act 819 of 2011. The good news is that the regulations that are requisite to govern the professional conduct of engineers has also been passed. And therefore, engineers or those who are in the practice who fall foul of the law can be sanctioned by the Engineering Council. And that is very, very good for us. But professionalism is a cutting edge. And if you have a nation where engineers could be shoddy or even collude with contractors to part contracts and shortchange the nation, it will be in crisis. One other intervention in which we were so glad was the building code. We got the vice president in 2018 to launch the updated Ghana Building Code, to bring it in sync with International Building Code 2018, IBC 2018, and International Green Construction Code 2015, IGCC 2015. And we need to stress the significance, the immense significance of the building code and how it translates into sanity in the built environment. At the moment, the regulations that should be teased out of the code are being considered by the Attorney General. It's taking rather too long, but the code is very fat because of the international input and how it's been improved. And we thank you so much for your input and help in that regard. Mr. Chairman, my expectation is that in whatever we do as engineering bodies and practitioners, the target will be towards the achievement of the SDGs, so that we can transform the undesirable living condition of our citizenry. This way, we can be proud and bold to say that we were the drivers of the national agenda of Ghana Beyond Aid, which is aimed at innovation towards self-reliance in development of our dear nation's water and mineral resources, sanitation and healthcare systems, energy management, food production, transportation and drainage systems, telecommunications, manufacturing industries, housing and growing settlement, among others. Mr. Chairman, today therefore presents an opportunity for you and my dear professional engineering institutions and practitioners to engage with government, and that is what is very important. Industries, academia, civil society, non-governmental organizations, and the public at large to raise awareness and the profile of engineers and the engineering profession for the betterment of the nation. One thing that I nearly missed was the input of the Ghana Institution of Engineering in relation to the Ghana Beyond Aid. I never saw any institution of consequence that came out with a well thought out paper as to how Ghana should be a nation beyond aid. I pray that, Mr. Chairman, you shouldn't leave it at the paper level, but let's see how you concretize this I mean, strong infusion of ideas in how this nation is going to change. I really commend you for that, because it was a game changer for a whole engineering setup to come out with a paper, well thought out paper, as to how the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and successive government will actualize Ghana beyond it. On this note, Mr. Chairman, I wish you the best in your deliberations and take the opportunity to declare the 2021 World Engineering Day duly launched. Long live Ghana. Long live engineering practitioners. Long live the Ghana Institution of Engineering. Thank you, and God bless us all. I'm praying to God that by your influence, Ghana will become the factory of Africa. I'm grateful for this opportunity. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Honorable Atachia. And on behalf of the President and the Council of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, we want to express our gratitude to you for having time to join us this morning to launch this all-important day, and also to thank you for the support that you've offered the institution over the last 4 years. And we trust that the incoming Minister of Works and Housing will do the same to strengthen the engineering institution in our contribution to the development of our country. As you said, this day provides an opportunity for the engineering community to showcase our work to raise our awareness within the population. The impact of engineers is normally hidden from the public. But as we've seen, even during this COVID crisis, the role that the professionals of the built environment played in the delivery on time and within budget of the Infectious Diseases Center at the Ghana East Hospital, something that was delivered in quick time, pro bono, with the services of dedicated engineers and our colleagues from the Field Engineers Department of the Ghana Army to make sure this happened. All the architects, the quantity surveyors, and the professionals of the built environment are dedicated to ensuring that there is excellence in the practice of engineering in this country. So once again, we want to thank you so much for having time with us to launch this all-important second annual World Engineering Day. Thank you very much, Honorable.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And may this profession, noble profession, prosper. And may you be very integral in our developmental effort. I'm very, very proud to know that you are in the background, very quiet, and yet you are influencing infrastructure and all the other attendants of development. I'm very grateful to the institution.
And once again, I want to thank Joy News and CTTV for joining us and giving the opportunity for the minister to interface with all your listeners and viewers around the country, and also to advocate the work of engineering profession to the country at large. We, for those of us engineers who work in large engineering firms or small single-man consultants, we are aware of the challenges that they face, especially during this COVID process. But they have worked hard to ensure that infrastructure is stable round the clock, and it's their dedication that has kept essential services always delivered in our cities and our communities. And once again, on behalf of the Council of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, we want to thank the media for showcasing us and giving us an opportunity to vent this out to the rest of the country. Thank you very much.
All right, so that's it there from the Ghana Institute of Engineering.
Yes, and they will be updating us throughout the day. So around 4:30, if you're interested, they will have a webinar on electronical standards. So if you're in that space and you want more information, you can go on to their social media handles. The Zoom link is there and you can join. And at 5:30 p.m., they also have a technical division webinar, the role of engineers towards achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So we've talked extensively about Sustainable Development Goals. We have just a little under 10 years to achieve them, and the role engineers will play in making this happen.
Yeah, and then there'll be finally a Young Engineers Forum, a Young Leaders Forum, which will happen afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, in a few minutes, we'll be going to the Supreme Court, where we'll hear the verdict as far as the 2020 election petition is concerned. Will the court agree that Nana Akufo-Addo won with 50% plus one and will continue on, or will they agree with John Dramani Mahama, who is the petitioner and was the flag bearer of the NDC, that they should probably have a runoff. We'll find out what they decide. But whatever happens, we have to put Ghana first. You know, we're Ghanaians first before anything else.
Yeah, I mean, like Dennis Miracle said, you know, it could be either here or there, you know, so we'll just wait to see.
For this Q&A with the engineers, so we'll go back and listen to them. And if you have any questions for them as well, just use that hashtag Breakfast Daily and WhatsApp line 0550-585832. And we will ask them on your behalf. We listened to Honorable Atachia. We have housing deficit issues in this country, about 2 million. So we'll go back and listen to them.
Your capacity to bring about results. What I expect to see, and I'm saying it from the bottom of my heart, is I want to see housing, affordable housing, as a priority of the nation. Why do I say so? There is an embarrassing figure of 2 million deficit of housing units staring at Ghana in the face. According to the operators in that environment, every household is made up of 5 individuals, the typical Ghanaian household, which means that we have 10 million Ghanaians who do not have decent and good places of abode. We can't continue as a nation like that. Now, close to one third of our population do not have decent places of abode. And therefore, as I've heard, and I believe it is true, the president intends to tackle affordable housing in the second term. We should do so. And we have had the benefit of the Nkrumah flats. We have also had the benefit of the Nyaniba estates. We've had the benefit of the Kanda estates. If you look at the whole of the good work of the unelected Kutu Acheampong in Dansoman, it's telling you that President Akufo-Addo has a whole world of opportunity to write his name in gold in the area of affordable housing. Ghanaians are marking time for the Akufo-Addo flats, and he'll be able to do it, as this in 2025. What is very important, our income levels are not good enough to permit us to buy houses that are from. I've put together a working paper that should leverage on the pension fund and then create our own mortgage regime for the workers, given their income levels. Because that source of money are the workers' own money. So we create how much they can take to buy these affordable houses, and also how many years. We can do it even 25 years for you, an ordinary person to own property, if he pays an instrumental discharges. And then Ghana will be a good place for us to be, because you can never talk about national security without addressing the issue of where a man will place his head. So Jesus said, the birds of the air have nests, but the son of, and the foxes are foes, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. That was indicative of the fact that for a man to find a place to lay his head is a divine imperative, and we can't joke with that. That is all I will say for now, but I stand ready to give aid, support, assistance, and blessing to the incoming minister in terms of anything which will make affordable housing one of the glories of President Akufo-Addo. I'm ready for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for those kind words. MFA, today is a day dedicated to engineering and engineers. So I thought your question would relegate the politics to the background a bit. And this is a day that we want to celebrate the work of engineers, their contribution to society. And so we are very grateful for the question you've asked. We will give an opportunity for City FM to ask one question, and then we can bring it to a close. But I want to add that in the evening today, starting at 5 p.m., all the 4 technical divisions of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, that's the civil, the mechanical, the chemical, and the electrical divisions, will be holding webinars. And especially there's one important webinar on standardization of electrotechnical standards in Ghana. And they will be working with the Ghana National Committee of the International Electrotechnical Commission and with the Ghana Standards Authority to talk about standards and the compliance of our engineers and the nation at large to standards in whatever we do. And again, we'll have an open forum for the young engineers of the institution as well. So we want to invite all those of you who are here to use the same links and join us at 5 p.m. in the evening.
All right. Mr. Kobre Japan, I'd like to ask, we have all these fantastic ladies and gentlemen of the engineering fraternity. My name is David, David Kwekusechi. I'm from City TV. We have all these fantastic ladies and gentlemen of the engineering fraternity. What seems to be the challenge when we look at, for example, I'll just take one example, the health sector. When we have people producing last year, during the beginning of the COVID pandemic, we had people producing ventilators locally and other things to support the system. But in terms of a rollout, in terms of a massive national rollout where we become self-sufficient, there seems to be a gap between the initial ideas, the production of prototypes, and then the final rollout where now we can say Ghana is even selling ventilators to other countries. There seems to be that gap. What seems to be the issue?
Well, commercialization of inventions is a very difficult thing. And also we have to sort out our patenting laws and things like that, because when inventors come up with new things, they have to be protected. That intellectual property has to be protected. And also we want to collaborate a lot more with the government to ensure that all these things can be scaled upwards in a commercial way, if indeed the science of it has been vindicated through a rigorous process. And that can be done at the institution. We would collaborate with government. And that's why, as I said, at the beginning of this conflict, we were prepared to put our services for free at the, for government to use our engineers and our architects and our planners and our medical staff. They all contributed in no small way to be able to contain this very major pandemic. So yes, I quite understand there is a gap. There's a gap. In fact, early last year, we had a conference in Peduase Valley Resort that looked at closing the gap between academia, our academics, and industry, and the professional institutions such as the Ghana Institution of Engineering are playing a major role to make sure that the people that the academics produce, that our products are ready-made for the market, and that there should be some synchronization of what the market desires and what the universities, the engineering educators are producing. And there has been significant gaps in some of these things. And so we are working hard around the clock to make sure that we can build into the Africa that we want, which is the agenda of the AU. And we think that engineering plays a significant, it can become a major pillar in the attainment of all these goals that the world desires.
All right. Just one final question, if I may.
So, once again, thank you, because you said you give us only 30 minutes to thank the minister, to thank the media as well for giving us the opportunity to share this with you. And we know, as I said, we expect that all of you can join us this evening, and the larger body of the engineering community will be there, and we will have open fora, both for the young engineers and the senior ones, and also a number of webinars. Thank you very much. And on behalf of the council, once again, I want to express our gratitude to the outgoing Minister of Works and Housing, Member of Parliament for Abuako South, Honorable Samuel Atachia, my good friend, and also all of you, the media personnel who've made this possible. Thank you very much. May the Almighty God bless our country, Ghana, as we head towards our 64th birthday. Thank you.
Amen. Amen.
So shall it.
Thank you as well for staying with us and listening to that, especially now since we're going towards our Independence Day, and we're talking a lot about how do we position Ghana as the industrial hub for the whole of Africa, not just West Africa. How do we ensure that we take full advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area, regardless of whatever sector you are in. Manufacturing, you're in industry, you're in service, you're in agric. You need high-quality engineers. And beyond needing high-quality engineers, they also have to be resourced so that they can solve this problem. They talked about the housing deficit, for instance, 2 million. How do we ensure that we provide enough affordable homes? And in this country, when we talk about affordable, it's relative. You hear some of these prices and you're like, Charlie, I don't even fall below.
Who is the one affording?
You get me? I don't even fall below the poverty line, but I can't even afford this. Does it have anything to do with the materials used in building these houses? Is there a way
That's actually one of the questions I wanted to ask.
Exactly. We can find more affordable materials because when you go into some of our rural areas, they don't use much to build. And there's so much knowledge in our rural areas. I'm happy that the first term of Akufo-Addo, digitization became a thing and a trend, but I would want other things to trend in the same way. You know, in other parts of the world, we only think about technology, how do we innovate this? In Ghana, it's the simple things that we need to invent and innovate on. Take the Veronica bucket, for instance. Madame Veronica Baquin invented it. When we had the pandemic, so many more young people came out to do their own version of how Ghanaians can wash their hands without touching anything. That's innovation right there. Now, how do we get this to a point where if there's a certain country on this continent that has not yet invented that, we begin to see that country as a market to send that to. And it has to be a policy. It's something that government has to intentionally, if it's working with NEIP, to intentionally fund entrepreneurs who are creating real-world solutions with engineers. Do it. If it's a specific fund set aside in collaborations with MBSSI and MasterCard to say anyone creating solutions with engineers on your team that are real-world things that are affecting the large majority of Ghanaians, we're going to give you 10,000, 100,000 cities. Then we're beginning to resource these people so that they can get where they need to be, because most engineers are not entrepreneurs. They just know how to solve the solution. And some entrepreneurs also don't know what it takes to build the product and the service. So creating these synergies will be really essential to our development, and that's why we brought this conversation to you today. Absolutely.
Well, it's time to go hear what the Supreme Court has to say. It's a fascinating time in our country's development, you know, because we've already had one election petition. We saw how that went. It's the second one, you know, so it's interesting to see where it is that we're going to go with this. But our colleague, Fred Tete Jabano, is the court correspondent and for this election petition, and he's standing by. Let's go over to him.